guy that replaces Zidane or something like that as he continues to grow his resume.
Yeah, we shall see. I'm curious on the Real Madrid situation. I'm also curious on the Tottenham situation because now you've got Pochettino linked there. There's even been chatter. I think TalkSport talked about it with Zinedine Zidane to Tottenham, which baffles me. I don't see this one at all.
No,
There's also a lot of chatter that Zidane will take over the French national team at some time in the near future. Some have said after the Euros. I don't know if Deschamps wants to give up the job at that point. I could definitely see after the Qatar World Cup, which would seem to be the most logical one. And if Zidane wants to hang out on a beach for 18 months, I'm sure he's not going to really complain about that. But I think his next job will be the French national team. I'd be surprised if he jumped into anything else. Ridiculousness. Ragamuffin says Jason rants against the Prem recycling managers of him, Big Sam. How is all of this any different? Because they're not Big Sam, Ragamuffin. These are actually good managers for the most part and not bums. Sorry, Big Sam. Pochettino went to a Champions League final. I don't think I've ever seen Allardyce there. Conte just won Serie A. I don't think I've ever seen Allardyce win a league title. The younger guys are not the recycled guys. Zidane has won Champions Leagues. I mean, it's a different conversation, Ragamuffin. I would love to see, as I just said about Xabi Alonso, I would love to see somebody new get one of these opportunities. Xabi Alonso fascinates me. Raul, I don't know as much about his philosophy. I'd like to learn more. But Xavi, we've talked about Xavi at Barcelona, another one who I think will get that job eventually. I want to see new guys, but this is a very different conversation than recycling. It's the best managers moving chairs, and it's weird, but it's not turning to somebody who, yay, he keeps teams from getting relegated. Yay! Yay! Oh, Big Sam's not available. Let's call Alan Pardew. Yay!
Mark Hughes, he's available.
Yay! He's great. No, it's not the same thing at all. These are good folks, and maybe some up and coming folks. I'm really interested. Byrne says if Real gets Raul and Barca don't get Xavi, then Laporta has failed his first test, and that is accurate. If Real Madrid goes down the road that Barcelona would usually go down with giving a club legend the job, and Barcelona doesn't, it's not a good look. I'm curious to see where Real Madrid goes here. And Conte's the one that's the wild card of all this because he's just a difficult guy in general. He will dedicate his winnings to himself, first off. That's an impressive feat from Antonio Conte. I dedicate it to me. I choose me. I mean, it's absurd. So he's not going to last long anywhere. He hasn't in his career. But he has won a lot of places in his career. So he's going to get a big job. Does he want to jump right back into a big job, or does he want to play the Max Allegri role and be that guy in the shadows who will have the opportunity, the Pochettino role, for a long time? I don't know where his head is. But Real Madrid is the biggest of big jobs right now for a guy like Antonio Conte. I'm curious to see if they go down that road. I mean, Jarrett, we see this kind of stuff all the time where these big managers are the ones who are getting into these conversations with big clubs. Recycle's not the right word, but moving the deck chairs around, it happens. I don't see Conte going to... I mean, what other jobs are out there right now that we know about? I don't see Conte going to Tottenham, for example.
No.
He's not going to Lille, I think the big jobs in Germany are all gone. I don't see him going there anyway. I don't think he's going to go elsewhere in Italy because there's no big jobs open. Like, if he's going to take a job right now, it feels like it's Real Madrid or bust. Should they go for the big name who just won the Italian title, or should they go for somebody who's on the rise, like Raul was in their system, or Xabi Alonso, who they know well?
I think it depends on how patient they want to be with where they're at. Do they feel like they need to win right now? This is the window.
I tend to think that they do.
Then we go get the name. If you're willing to let it build for a year or two, I mean, do you go get a younger guy who might be more of a long-term fit and provide some actual stability to your front office and to your coaching staff? Maybe one that won't get in public fights with management.
That'd be nice.
Who knows? It'd be lovely. And I mean, the sport is already structured in such a way that managers don't stay longer than a couple of years. Like Zidane staying at Real Madrid, even through 2 stints, is outside the norm that he was there that long. Even when you break it up through 2 stints, that doesn't happen. So, I mean, do you want to try and create that with somebody through your system? Or, do you want to keep chasing the names and thinking, okay, we're going to chase the names. We're going to try and get titles. And we're going to see if we can just kind of like bridge this as we go, as you rebuild.
Yeah, I think Real Madrid's going to be under a little more pressure because the crosstown frenemies of theirs, ATLUTD, just won the league title. I don't know if they can afford to not go big here. I think they should, but I don't know if they can afford to not go big. And they didn't get Allegri, which it sounded like they were in conversation with to some degree. I almost feel like they have to get Conte. And if for some reason they can't nail down a deal with him, then it's Pochettino. I feel like Xabi, Alonso, and Raul are the backups to the backup to the backup. Even though they might ultimately be the better fit. That fact that ATLUTD just won the league title, I think, does have to play into the decision here for Real Madrid. They need to make a splash, and they need to show that they're back, and they're the big dogs. And I don't know if you can do that as effectively with a Raul or a Xabi Alonso. I think it can be as successful or more successful, and I think it's the better long-term move. Pochettino I do like. I am starting to wonder a little bit, though, after the way things ended at Spurs and what is allegedly happening behind the scenes at PSG. It's taken the bloom off the rose a little bit for Mauricio, but Conte is he's a short-term guy, and it's going to be drama. And Real Madrid had issues with the drama with Mourinho when he was there, so I don't know if they want to go down that road, but I feel like they might have to in their minds to deal with this. I don't know. That one's going to be the weird one.
See, I don't know what to make of the PSG thing with Pochettino because, when it ends at Spurs, maybe, he was there for a while. Maybe it was time to move on and things were just getting stale and you just needed a refresh. PSG is just kind of weird. I don't know how to take that one so much. I think if it happens that way in other places, it's more of a red flag for me. But anytime it gets sideways with any of these super clubs, I'm always kind of side-eyed a bit. How much of it was him? How much of it is the drama of a super club front office?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell yeah.
We got updates from the man, the leader of El Chiringuito.
Oh, here we go.
Josep Pedrerol. He is saying that Antonio Conte is the favorite to become Real Madrid's new manager. And he knows. He knows all.
Don't mess with the man.
He will walk off the set and conduct a phone call to get more information, then come back and give you that information. That is how incredible El Chiringuito is. But that is just coming out now that he's saying that Conte is the favorite. There's some quotes coming out from an older interview with Raul. Raul said this was about a month and a half ago from an interview. He said, I've been a coach for 2 years. I'm in Castilla, which is the second team at Real Madrid. I think that in the future I can coach Real Madrid, but for the time being, I'm learning and happy where I am. Now, it was a month and a half ago. That job wasn't open, but okay, you want to take these different things and kind of mix things around, whatever. Reportedly, there were meetings held at Real Madrid's offices this morning about deciding on the next manager. Lasted about 90 minutes, it sounds like. Sergio Ramos was also spotted going into the offices. He's out of contract at the end of, I think, June now. So what happens with him, who knows? It's Madrid's a little crazy because by most accounts, they were planning for Zidane to leave. They thought he would leave. He left. And they were planning to hire Max Allegri. That was the move. And then Juve said, oh, well, we're not going to miss out on bringing Allegri back after we fired him a couple of years ago. We're going to move on from Pirlo and get Allegri first. Now, there was also reports that Inter had a dinner with Allegri to try to get him to come to Inter. And he said no. So Max Allegri played this out very patiently. He waited and waited and waited to the point that we're kind of like, well, wait a minute, why isn't anybody hiring Max Allegri? Mm-hmm. Then he became the belle of the ball. He got his pick of Real Madrid, of Inter, and of Juventus. He went for Juventus. So now Madrid has to play catch up a little bit, and then
they've got to match the splash.
Conte feels like the guy that would match that splash. So if these reports are true, it sounds like Antonio Conte is going to go to Real Madrid. Raul will still be there waiting. Xabi Alonso will stay at Real Sociedad's second team, and he said he's happy there. And he's been linked with multiple jobs here lately. I think he's going to get one in the next year. And then it comes down to Barcelona, because Barcelona is in a horrible financial situation. They have the big thing with Messi hanging over their heads. They're going to try to get guys on freeze if they can. And they've got to make a decision quickly on if you're going to continue with Ronald Koeman and try to give him the pieces to succeed next year, or if you're going to go get somebody else. And the big fish are probably going to be gone, because they're not going to get Pochettino. Yep. He's an Espanyol guy from across town, so I don't see that happening. Conte will be gone, and he doesn't fit them anyway. Xavi would still be there, but it's sounding like there's, concern about turning it over to Xavi right now. And I don't get it. If they're not happy with Koeman, Xavi's the guy for Barcelona, in my opinion. I know what he is as a manager. I know he's young, but he has won titles in the Middle East. He does have experience. They've went down that road many times with success. If they're not comfortable with Koeman, and Joan Laporta did not hire Ronald Koeman, that needs to be very clearly said. That was the previous group. That was Bartomeu. Now, Laporta is going a little crazy, it sounds like, but that part's, that's fair. That wasn't his hire. But I don't know if he can do better right now. If he's not happy with Xavi, if he doesn't believe that Xavi's the guy yet, then I think he has to stick with Ronald Koeman. And they need to make that decision quickly so they can then start to move, because you're seeing players move. Konate now is going to Liverpool. You're going to see other guys who are available on free start to sign deals. They need to have their manager in place ASAP so they can be in the mix to get the guys they want to get to be successful next year.
You want to talk about being on the clock? And the thing that and I know that Koeman wasn't Laporta's guy, but I mean, what we're allegedly seeing, if it's true, where you're trying to damage Koeman's rep by saying that there are health issues.
That's big allegedly right now.
Yeah,
but
right.
Yeah, that is what the Telegraph is speculating.
But if you're Koeman, the desire to stay also. Even if they don't find they don't find anybody in the next 10 days or 13 days or however many days it is, just under 2 weeks. And then they come back to you and it's like, okay, yeah, you're our guy for this year because we didn't find whomever. This would be one of the biggest motivational things if I'm Ronald Koeman, to be there and just basically sit there and say, well, I'll show you. But you wonder at the same time, you could have all the motivation in the world if you're Ronald Koeman, if you're still the guy going into the next season. But if they don't give you the resources that you're looking for and you're still having to fight and you're having to get guys on a free, it'll be one of the most challenging things he's ever had to do, with all of these clouds that are big allegedly being formed even as they're trying to figure out who their next manager could be for next season.
All right, before we get into Klaus German joining the show, let's jump into Champions League final real quick. We've talked about it a lot during the week. We've talked about it last night as well. Manchester City and Chelsea. What are the juice box numbers for this, John?
All right, so let me check the juice boxes real quick with computers that are misbehaving. So let's see what they are briefly. Traditionally, it's been in the 108 to 114 range. still hasn't moved. Manchester City's about a -110 in the composite to win in 90 minutes. Your 90-minute draw is a +248. Chelsea to win in 90 minutes is a +358.
Jarrett, what were our picks first off? Do you have the legal pad with our picks handy, Sean?
Yes, I do.
It's a sheet of paper, not a legal pad. You could have just said you had it.
I have
it. No, you could have just said you had it.
Nick said Chelsea. Jarrett and I said Manchester City, and you said the 90-minute draw.
Okay. Jarrett, are you still feeling good about your pick?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you sound kind of confident.
Yeah. I've seen nothing over the last week that makes me change my mind. I have nothing to back any of this up.
Fair enough. I think it'll be an interesting game. I really do. I just think Chelsea's going to try to lock this down for as long as they can and nullify what City can do. I think my biggest question coming into it is either manager able to do something that will catch their opponent by surprise? I'm not sure. I mean, they know each other really well. I don't know if that's possible here. I would tend to think that City would be the one that has more of an ability to do that, especially with their depth. But I don't know if they can do anything to catch Tommy Tuchel by surprise. I'm just expecting Chelsea to say, you know what, we're going to come in and we're going to keep this game 0-0 as long as we can and hope to hit on a break. That's the way I'm seeing Tuchel play it out. It's the smartest thing in a one-game final for them. And I don't think Pep could do anything like that. So I think Pep will have his team play the way that they play. They'll try to prepare for Chelsea sitting back and doing it. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's how it'll go. It'll be Chelsea sitting and City playing the way they play. And can they find a breakthrough? I don't know. Chelsea's been really good defensively, and Tommy Tuchel's a good manager who knows Pep really well and has gotten the better of City the last two times. I know it wasn't City's first team, but he still did because City's first team is going to be better at doing what they did, but they're still going to do roughly the same kinds of things. So it's a fascinating game. I wish that it wasn't at the same time as the Atlanta United game because I'd like to watch it and like to consume it and pay attention to this tactical stuff. I'll have to do that on a rewatch. But it could be a very interesting tactical game. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game at all. I'm not expecting that.
No, I'm thinking something. Honestly, I'm thinking 1-0, and my thought the whole time has been that something happens in the last 10 minutes, which has happened a lot for Manchester City in these games that have been tightly contested, 0-0, 1-1, something like that, where something happens in like the 80th minute and beyond. It's a moment for Manchester City, and they've had a lot of moments late in matches this year. That's what I think is going to go down. It's going to be another one of those late moments. Is it Aguero? Is it Sterling? Is it Foden? But I think somebody gets that moment late, and it's 1-0. That's just my vibe.
All right, Jarrett, we're going to bid you adieu for a little while. You're going to come back at 10:30 and help us preview MLS and get our fantasy team set. So enjoy your hour off.
I'm going to be setting my fantasy team.
Oh, you're going to be doing advanced prep. Okay, I like it. Well, we'll check your notes at 10:30.
Sounds good. Take care.
Bye.
All right, Jarrett tags out, and Klaus German, thanks to Mateo, will be tagging in. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to catch up with Klaus, if we can try to get him now or work on this one more time. Let's see. Klaus is trying to carve out a little bit of time on the job to take a little break and talk some soccer with us if we can get him. It's actually looking like it might not be possible. I'm going to try one more time, and then we'll see if we can get him a different way. Give me 1 second. I need, like, hold music or something here. Let's try it this way.
I would have started whistling the music that sounds like the Morricone Western music that you play when we give the coaching updates.
Yes.
I would have used that music.
Yeah, that might have fit, but I know
the good, the bad, and the ugly theme that you bring up when we talk about those kinds of things. That to me would be the hold music.
Yes, all good. I'm going to try Klaus one other way. Yeah,
but
it looks like it's going to be hard to get him. I'm going to shoot him a text, and we'll try to squeeze him in here. So we're trying to get Klaus in to talk some South America because it's a little bonkers at the moment.
I mean, Libertadores, and this was one of the things that I was going to ask the two of you about. You know, the last couple of days when we've had group stage in Libertadores, there were a lot of high numbers on the board for the winning sides, and the margins of victory in most of them were pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, we know now who's made it through to the knockouts in both competitions, who's bumped down from the Libertadores into the Sudamericana. The biggest surprises as we go through, Santos missing out. They failed to get out of the first round. They'll be going into the Sudamericana. Atletico Junior should have jumped River. River backed in a big way. Nacional, some people thought they could get out of the group stage in the Libertadores. They're going to the Sudamericana. Liga de Quito was another one that could have possibly gotten into the knockouts in the Libertadores. They came third in the group with Flamengo and Vélez. Good performances from Vélez were enough to get in. So Liga will move into the Sudamericana. Cerro Porteño is a really positive story from Paraguay getting into the knockout round of the Libertadores. They've had a very good run. América de Cali has been a little disappointing on the other side.
Yeah, and I was watching bits and pieces of the Cerro Porteño match against América de Cali, and I mean, it was registered as a fairly even match going in, at least according to juice boxes, but Cerro Porteño got the one that they needed on the board. They were the slight favorite there, and they end up finishing second in Group H. But, you know, you look at Atletico Mineiro after that opening draw that they had, they run the table from that point to get 16 out of a possible 18 out of group. So, I mean, you look at them and, you know, we talk about Group G and how close that one ended up with three teams separated by 4 points, 12, 10, and 8 with Flamengo, Vélez, and LDU Quito. You know, you look at a couple of the other groups for me that were, you know, interesting going down to the last. Obviously, Group B was another interesting one for me, that you had two teams finish at 9. You had to go to goal difference to figure out second and third, where Internacional, Olimpia, and Deportivo Táchira were the three that were challenging for the final spot. So it's like, you know, and I think we see this in a lot of different tournaments where you have some groups that are boat races, some that are going to be having to test your math skills. And so we had that mix that we're used to, although, you know, you mentioned some of the teams that backed in like River and some of the teams that really did shine coming out of the group stage.
In the Sudamericana, the third-place teams from Libertadores go down to the Sudamericana in their knockout. Gremio won a group, so they move into the knockouts. Just the group winners in the Sudamericana go into those knockouts. Lanús came in second in their group, and there's talk out of Argentina this morning that Luis Zubeldia, their manager, who was instrumental with Marcelino Moreno's development, for example, he could be walking away from the club, and that'd be a little bit of a shock to the system for Lanús. He'd be an interesting one to see where he could land. He's a manager that I really like, and I wonder if he might be interested in coming north and maybe coming into MLS here at some point. Those are the kinds of guys I'd really love to see. Red Bull Bragantino was able to jump Emelec. We talked about that earlier in the week. Bragantino moves into the knockouts. Libertad, Tito Villalba's Libertad, they move through into the knockouts. Peñarol moves into the knockouts after a really bad year for them in CONMEBOL competition. They get into the knockouts. Corinthians from Brazil do not. That's a bit of a surprise. Atlético Paranaense, Mateus Rossetti's former club, they move into the knockouts with a really strong campaign in the Sudamericana. Arsenal de Sarandi, a little bit of a surprise. They're able to get their way into the knockouts, one of the smaller clubs from Argentina that continue in the Sudamericana. Independiente, I know our friend Gustavo is very happy. They were able to get through and hold off Montevideo City Torque. They won their group with 14 points, 4 wins, 2 draws, undefeated, only gave up 5 goals in 6. considering Alan Franco came to Atlanta to be that good defensively. That's a credit to Falcione, their manager, for finding a way to get their young guys to get the performances they needed. And Rosario Central is the other group winner that goes forward in the Sudamericana. We'll get Klaus German on next week. Unfortunately, there's an issue with dialing out to him. He's not in his normal setup, so trying to dial out to him to his phone and Skype trying to communicate to his phone, it's not working. So we'll have Klaus next week. Sorry about that. Let's get into some of the other news of the day worldwide before we get into the MLS front and the MLS setup of things. The coaching thing is going to be a big talking point worldwide, but the player side of things as well is going to be big as we continue to get further along. There's a rumor now, which is hilarious to me, that Roma and Jose Mourinho would like to get Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, he wouldn't have to move his cars very far if that's the case.
True.
Ronaldo had a lot of success with Mourinho. But I wonder... Oh, there we go. We got Klaus. Klaus is able to find us. What's up, Klaus?
Jason, guys, good morning. How are we doing? Everything good?
We're doing good. Thanks for finding a way, man. We appreciate it.
Sorry for the late entrance. I was trying to figure out how to join Skype without video because I'm on the road as we speak. How you guys doing? How's everything going?
We're doing good, man. Thank you so much. We're talking about all the craziness in the world, but we just kind of went through the Libertadores and the Sudamericana and some of the teams that have moved through and maybe some of the surprises going on. But I want to start with you with, the Copa de la Liga. The semifinals and finals were supposed to be this past week. I think the final was supposed to be this weekend. Everything's pushed back. It seems like it's going to happen next week. But with the COVID outbreaks in South America, you've got issues with getting that competition completed. People are looking ahead to the Copa America and these World Cup qualifiers and what that looks like. What are you hearing in these regards? I think now there's the talk that the Copa America, there was a rumor it could come to the U.S., then that was downplayed. Now it feels like that might be getting a little traction.
Well, let me just start by saying that it's definitely over in the Sudamericana and Copa Libertadores. Both of those group stages are over. And I was actually reading this morning some of the teams. If you actually take a look at, and just to give a quick summary, if you just take a look at Copa Sudamericana as we speak, the first and the seconds, there's actually better teams in Sudamericana than actually, if you think about it, in Copa Libertadores. There's teams like Peñarol, Independiente, Liga de Quito from Ecuador. There's several teams, Nacional from Montevideo. Teams that are definitely up there that have bigger names. And as far as Copa de la Liga, let me just let you know that the semifinals have been rescheduled for May 31st, so they will be played on May 31st. Both semifinals. They were supposed to be played last weekend, as we know. Listen, there's between 400 and 600 people dying every day in Argentina. The situation is very chaotic. I have some contacts out there. I have some people that I regularly speak to, and they just recently gone back to phase one. Phase one pretty much means you're in quarantine. You're in total quarantine. You only get out for the things you need to do, such as shopping, such as, just basic needs. So, I mean, it's pretty tough down there, man. I'm going to tell you, the situation in Argentina right now, it's probably one of the toughest ones in the world. Definitely the toughest one in South America, surpassing what Brazil was like, because Brazil is pretty tough as well. But just Argentina has just become, honestly, it's just become really chaotic. The semifinals have been rescheduled for May 31st, so they will be played on that occasion. And, I mean, honestly, I don't know how this is going to affect Copa America. Listen, I have a friend in Conmebol. He's been kind of feeding me some information the last couple of weeks. I've been, putting it on my social media. There was a strong talk of bringing the Copa America here to the U.S. just because of the fact that the infrastructure in this country is amazing. Right. You can set up a tournament in a matter of days. You can set everything up. Obviously, you won't be able to use the MLS stadiums because MLS, you're on season as we speak, but you could definitely use the NFL stadiums, which are beautiful. Here in Florida, we have a couple. We have the Hard Rock Stadium here down in Miami. You also have the Tampa Bay Raiders Stadium in Tampa. You also have Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. So, I mean, you do have, different sceneries that you could definitely utilize. But, I mean, listen, I'm going to be pretty honest. The relationship right now between Conmebol and the U.S. Soccer Federation is not good. Yeah. Since the last Copa America made here in 2016, there's still teams that have never received their part of the money. There's still teams that have never received their part of their participation money. So, I mean, the relationship right now between Conmebol and the U.S. Soccer Federation is not the best one. United States, of course, is always willing to bring any type of tournament here, especially how it is. Listen, I don't know how it is in Atlanta right now, but in Miami, we're not even using masks down here, to be honest.
Pretty
Like,
much getting
masks
that way
are
here too.
not even necessary anymore. It's just everything's open. Right now, people here act like there's nothing going on. And I understand, the context is different. If you compare it to other countries, the vaccination rate here in South Florida has been amazing. So you could definitely, stadiums are at full capacity. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow covering the Inter Miami game from the Inter Miami Stadium. It's going to be the first time that, I was able to get myself credited for the game. Excellent. And I'm going to be there covering it. But these stadiums are at full capacity. So, I mean, people are already back on the show. People are already getting vaccinated. People are already ready. The Miami Heat played last night as well. And, the stadium was pretty packed. So, again, here in Florida, we're living a different story that from a lot of different states in the countries. They brought the UFC down here a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So, again, Florida right now, it's pretty much, come here and do whatever you want. Miami's fully open. So I'm guessing that was some of the talk with my person informed me, pretty much told me was, listen, if there's a chance that we can make it in the United States, it's definitely going to be Florida because of the infrastructure and because the easy way to move around, the mobility. They were thinking about doing something very, very similar to what they did in Orlando. I don't know if you remember where the MLS back tournament, where they did a mini bubble in Orlando.
Yep.
They were thinking about doing something similar. But again, the relationship is not good right now between the U.S. Soccer Federation and CONMEBOL. And at the other hand, I'm looking at Argentina, and I'm looking what's going on there, and I'm seeing that there's 400 or 500 people dying daily, and I'm seeing that COVID cases are hitting 29,000, 30,000 a day, and that's a worrying number. Yeah. Listen, are you really going to take all these teams out there? Are you really going to take all these federations out there? You're going to put them at risk, of maybe catching an outbreak, and then you have maybe, I don't know, a team with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players with COVID. So again, it's a pretty tough situation. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but again, we're less than 2-3 weeks away from Copa America, and they still haven't decided where exactly it's going to be played. There were some rumors that Ecuador wanted to take it. There were some rumors that Chile wanted to take it at one point. Yeah. But I mean, if we take it into the human side, listen, I know these competitions have to be played. I understand there's economic duties that have to be met, television rights, et cetera, et cetera. But listen, if you have 400 to 500, can you just imagine 400 to 500 people dying every day? You know what I'm saying? You just can't host a tournament. It's not humane. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Me, obviously, living here in this country, I would love for the Copa America to come here. It would be an amazing experience. But again, at this point, we're 2-3 weeks far away from it, and they still don't know exactly what's going to happen with it. It's just a worried situation.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like you mentioned, Florida. I mean, you could do it just in the state of Florida and get a tournament done very easily. But they've got to make a decision here soon. And I'm wondering, between, like the Copa de la Liga finishing up with the semifinals and the final and the Copa America, you've got World Cup qualifiers that they're backed up against the wall from a scheduling perspective with those World Cup qualifiers. They've got to get these 2 rounds played too with teams traveling around the continent. That's another one that I'm kind of baffled as to how you get it done without having issues.
No, of course. You have the World Cup qualifiers coming right now. Uruguay will have a match against Venezuela and Paraguay. Argentina will be playing Colombia. There's going to be different games as well. And again, they have to make up these games just because if you take it back into March 28th, March 29th, when we were supposed to play fixture number 4 and 5 in the CONMEBOL qualifiers, the leagues from Europe, such as the Spanish League, the Italian League, and the German League, obviously the English League as well, they decided not to give away any players, and that was the big mess. There's countries like Argentina that could definitely form a domestic, national team with players from the continent, and they have no problem whatsoever. But then you have Chile, you have Ecuador, you have Colombia, all these countries that heavily depend on European soil players, such as James Rodriguez from Colombia, Alexis Sanchez from Chile, Arturo Vidal. So again, Uruguay, Brazil, and Argentina kind of have like a little easier way there because they could definitely snatch players from the rest of the continent in the Americas. But other countries are not so lucky. So again, we're making up for those games that weren't played back on March 29th. Listen, man, it's just a mess. If you think about it, it's just a mess. They want to squish so many games in so little time. There's so many things that have to be met. There's so many, things that have to be done in such little time. You have the Euro Cup in Europe. Here you have the World Cup qualifiers, and you have the Olympic Games. Some players are not going to be able to participate in both. There's the quarantine things going on. So, listen, right now, the best way I can put it out there is just a mess. And unfortunately, CONMEBOL hasn't been serious enough, and I don't think they've taken this pandemic strong enough. We're talking about in Argentina, pretty much everything's suspended. We're talking about everything. Kids are not going to school. People are not working. People are legit dying of hunger. This is how they portrayed it to me. People are dying of hunger. People are not being able to work. And if you can't work, you don't eat, especially in a third world country like Argentina, where, they have the biggest evaluation of dollar in the world, along with Venezuela. So again, things are very, very tough. And the fact that CONMEBOL doesn't take this into consideration and they just want to put their schedule ahead of everything, listen, the best thing to do would have been just to cancel Copa America this year. Listen, we can't do it. Colombia is going through a social problem right now. They have a lot of things going on that they have to resolve. There's a big revolt against the government. The government has imposed a huge tax on the lower middle class, and that obviously upset the people to the point where they took, they fight into the streets. So obviously they're not, just and it's not because of that you can't host a tournament. It's because obviously people there can use this tournament. They can use a disruption as a way to, as a wake up call or as a sign of, listen, we're here and we want this done. So definitely Colombia is not an option. And then you have Argentina on the other side, where I previously stated you have 400 or 500 people dying every day. So listen, man, it's just a tough situation. It's just really tough. And at this point, they're thinking about every Copa Libertadores and every Copa Sudamericana game to take it outside of Argentina, to bring it to Uruguay or Chile. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, the word, like I said, the last thing I heard is that there were a couple of, rumors here and there that the Cup was going to be brought to the U.S. I actually was one of the first persons I actually shared that with was Juan Arango.
Yeah,
he actually did some. He's also one of our. He's a colleague in CBS Sports. We're doing the Argentine League as well. We're going to be doing CONCACAF together pretty soon as well. And he did his investigation as well. Listen, the rumors are true. They're talking about bringing it here, but that problem back in 2020 with the whole Copa America scenario, there was a big mess left there. And until they don't fix those things, I don't think it's going to happen here, even though I would love to, honestly.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out the financials of this. I want to, before you have to go, because I know we don't have you as long as usual, if these games get played, the Copa de la Liga, you've got Racing and Boca in one semifinal. You've got Independiente and Colón in the other. I don't know how much you've kind of looked at both of these games and prepared for them as they've been pushed back. Colón is one that we talked to Tom Robinson at World Football Index a little while back, and I feel like Colón is a team who could be a real surprise here because they haven't had the distractions that the others have had with the Libertadores and Sudamericana. They've been able to just focus on this, and you've had Pulgar Rodriguez have maybe the best season in the whole tournament. But Independiente, we talked about it with their run in Sudamericana. They have found a way to deal with the loss of Alan Franco, who's now here in Atlanta, and be such a good defensive team. Racing Boca is two big teams that will be a big story. That Independiente Colón match is the one that I'm really excited about seeing.
Listen, they really pulled through the last game against the Estudiantes.
Klaus, I think we might be losing you, unfortunately. Yeah.
So again, it was a pretty emotional week for him.
Every time it feels like it's going to break through, it fails. Klaus. If you can hear me, Klaus, we're gonna disconnect. I think we're losing you. You're in a dead spot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I guess I don't know if my connection is that.
Yeah, it's breaking up, man. Let's do this. Let's me and you find a time to do a little 1v1. We'll get caught up on all this stuff this weekend if we can, and get everybody caught up on Copa de la Liga, and maybe we'll see if there's any advancements on Copa America and the World Cup qualifiers and such. We'll do about a 10-15 minute interview and drop it out for the people who want to hear your takes.
Yeah, listen, anything I can help you with, just let me know. Any information I have, I'll definitely get it through you. I'll get it sent to you.
Yeah, thank you.
If I hear anything else. But as of now, that's pretty much all. Regarding Copa America, that's all I've been hearing. There's a couple of rumors that it might come to the U.S., but again, nothing is certain. And again, there has to be things that have to be, solutions that weren't taken care of in the past, and I think that's the biggest right now. That's the biggest wall for the Copa America not to come here. That's the biggest objection. So that's pretty much it. And as far, I don't know if you guys can hear me a little better now. I think
you're good.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, just to kind of like finish it up, what I was saying about Independiente. Tough week for Julio Cesar Falcioni. He lost his wife.
Yeah.
in the same week. He was able to pull this game through. And again, if you look at the Copa de la Liga, the regular season, probably we weren't expecting to see Racing here. They had such a weird season, an inconsistent season. Independiente as well. There's might be a chance that we can have a Clásico or a derby of Avellaneda derby in the final between Racing and Independiente. That'll be honestly amazing. Boca, there's a lot of issues going on with Boca. I know they just pulled it through and they qualified as a second in Copa Libertadores, but again, they're not looking as stable. But again, every time we say that Boca's not stable, they're not doing well, they win. So it's a matter of, honestly, they can be all inconsistent, they can be all stable they want, but they always get trophies, they always win. It's honestly, it's pretty, I think everything's pretty even. I think right now, and again, I know we talked about in the past, probably one of the first interviews I did with you guys when you guys asked me about some of the teams, and I told you that I didn't have a lot of faith on Colón. Listen, Colón is making it up there. Colón right now is in the semifinals. They're in the top 4. They had a great regular season, and now they're doing well in the playoffs as well. So again, it could go for any team. It can go for any team. I really have my coins here. I have my coins better on Boca, just because it's a team that's used to these type of games lately. Listen, they're going for something historic, which is a 3 back-to-back championship, which they haven't been able to obtain. Yeah, no team in Argentine soccer has been able to win 3 championships back-to-back. So again, Boca could do this to make some history. And then, Racing has been a team that's been around the last couple of years. They've been making it in Copa Libertadores. They won the trophy with Eduardo Coudet, who's now the coach of Celta de Vigo in Spain 2 years ago. And, Colón is looking for some glory, like you said, with an amazing season from Pulga. Independiente as well, maybe not having their best season, struggling, having to use a lot of youngsters, economic problems, but yeah, they're still in the semifinals. So again, very, very excited, but if I have to put my coins on somebody, it'll definitely be Boca.
Yeah, makes total sense. Klaus, we'll catch up very soon. We'll drop a little 1v1 and dig deeper into some of these things, man. Thanks for trying to take some time for us today. We really, really appreciate it. Glad you're doing well, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, guys. You guys have a great one. Have a great weekend.
You too, Migo.
Be good. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Klaus German, CBS Sports, Paramount Plus. Always great to catch up with Klaus. Thanks for bearing with us on the connection issues as we were trying to get it sorted out with Klaus out on the road. We'll get a deeper conversation with Klaus going and drop it out on the network probably the weekend or early next week. As we get ready for those games in Argentina, we'll dig a little bit deeper into them, and maybe there'll be some updates on Copa America and everything else. All right, so anything on Twitter, John, that we should touch on before we hop into your read and get Mike Conti on to talk Atlanta Nashville?
Tafka with a note that came across from Finner INT on Twitter. Fenerbahce had a meeting with Wolfsburg center back John Brooks' agent in Istanbul. An official offer has been made. Tafka asks, what is going on? How can this be legit?
I don't understand how it's that big of a surprise. Why would it not be legit? Fenerbahce is a big club. Mm-hmm. That's I don't understand the stance from Tafka. I don't think he should take it. I think he'd be better off to stay in the Bundesliga, but I mean, Fenerbahce is a big club, and they're going to try to get players from these types of clubs to bring them there. So I'm not shocked by it. I don't think it's the best move for his career, but I'm not shocked by it by any stretch.
A couple of other things. Folks have had some predictions for the weekend, which will kind of lean into what we're looking at with Mike. Although South Georgia, Atlanta United, Jason Heinley came in before the show started. He says, I was about to start having withdrawals. Missed one day of the morning show, and I was lost.
It happens from time to time, y'all. Sorry about that, and thanks for bearing with us.
Joey at Giletto on Twitter predicts a 1-0 win, and people complaining that, quote, it's not like 2018, end quote, despite it being another consecutive great result. You could clone 2018 Atlanta United, and people would still complain it's not like 2018 Atlanta United.
Yeah, some people would. Hopefully not everybody. I think from talking to more folks, I'm trying to be reminded of the differences between the social media megaphones and echo chambers of negativity that pop up quite a bit and the real world. And I don't know if everybody has the same takes that maybe the echo chambers do. And I've been reminded of that from a few folks. So I'm trying to keep that in perspective. Look, it's easy to yell negative stuff. It's it's probably going to get you more attention than yelling positive stuff. So, look, I understand it, but this is a club that's not really paying attention to megaphones or anything else. They're paying attention to what they're working through, and these players are paying attention to the work that they're putting in, and they're working hard. And I think it's shown in these last two results with finding a way against Montreal, getting the 3 points there, going out to Seattle and doing something nobody's done all year and getting a result at Lumen Field. So it's nothing to be down about these results. Can they play better in these matches? Yeah, they can. I think pretty much any game and any team you can say could play better. They can play better. They can be better in the attack, 100%. They need to be better in the attack. But it's not like they're playing chopped liver either. So,
yeah,
it is what it is. This is just how it's going to go sometimes with takes and demands and people's perspectives that are going to be very different across the board. Look, I'm just going to share this one because this is pretty fascinating to me. About half hour ago, Wasserman Netherlands. Wasserman is one of the largest sports management, entertainment, and marketing companies in the world.
Yeah.
At Was Netherlands, I'm assuming their Dutch chapter, office, what have you, and I'm assuming that they represent Ronald Koeman because of what was tweeted. And this is all that was tweeted. I'm going to read it verbatim to you. Wasserman Netherlands tweeted this. Imagine, I want to marry you, but I have doubts. Give me 2 weeks to find a better partner, ... If I can't find the right person, we will get married anyway! ! That is a sports marketing agency who I would have to assume represents Ronald Koeman.
Yeah.
Tweeting that with no other context out there about the situation with Barcelona and Ronald Koeman. Wow, we're really getting into some weird stuff with this. We've got accusations of fake reporting about levels of anxiety for people involved in it. We've got Joan Laporta basically saying, yeah, we like him, but we don't like him that much, so we're going to look for somebody else.
We're into you, but we're not that into you.
And you've got an agency tweeting out those things. This is not going to end well at all. Another rumor to keep in mind, because it's seeming like the rumor show, and again, I'm going to have to get a rumor music bed for this. This is coming out of Turkey, where Radamel Falcao has been playing lately. Falcao has allegedly been offered to every club in this hemisphere at different points over the last 12 months.
True.
But there is a new report that Falcao's manager offered to take the player to Nashville. I think that's a new one on the list. I have not seen Nashville linked to Radamel Falcao before.
That's a new one.
So that is club number 73 in the last 12 months that Radamel Falcao has been linked to. It's going to be one of those times right now. John, you're going to get this in quickly before we get Mike Conti on the line. Tell us about our good friend Steve Apolinski in Decatur, GA.
Apolinski and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, one place you need to go. It's Apolinski and Associates, LLC. 3 different ways that you can do it. You can shoot Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com. You can pick up the phone, get a free consultation, 404-377-9191, or go on the World Wide Web, large device or small. Type in aa-legal.com in the address bar. Hit the enter key, the return key, the arrow key, whatever advances you to the homepage for Apolinski and Associates, LLC. You get to see all the different cases they can handle for you, all the different awards that they have won in their over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for their clients in Georgia and Alabama. And if you still have questions, after looking at all the pull-down tabs, investigating to your heart's content, there's a pop-up window that pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365, and a quarter recognizes Legal 8 by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go. It's Apolinski and Associates, LLC, and the website is aa-legal.com. Bring on Mike.
Not too shabby, as others have said. The rushed read is the best read from you. There's no extraneous things that are dropped into it. Badger Bob did give you a 7.4 for being a little robotic.
Trying to get it in and out so we could bring in Mike Conti.
Well, that has nothing to do with being robotic, John. That's a little bit of an excuse, I think.
I didn't think I was being robotic. I thought I was being matter of fact, trying to get the promo done in time to bring on Mike.
That's fine. That's fine. We are dialing out to Mike Conti. Mateo is busy this morning getting things knocked out. And there is Mike Conti. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
Good morning. We've been trying to make sense of the managerial carousel / merry-go-round / musical chairs going on in Europe. Just to fill you in on how crazy the European side of things can be, Mike, we've got Wasserman, which is a huge sports agency, subtweeting Barcelona now about how they're treating one of their clients, saying, we're going to take a couple weeks to see if we can find a better coach. And if we don't, we'll keep you. There's also been allegations of said coach having to go to the hospital with anxiety issues, and now Dutch media are refuting that. This thing's going to get really bad between Barcelona and Ronald Koeman.
Oh, my goodness. Well, usually I would say the agency better let sleeping dogs lie, but I don't know. In the case of Wasserman, I guess I kind of understand standing up for your client.
Yeah, they're like, dude, it's like the way that they phrase it, literally, it's like, okay, we're getting married in less than 2 weeks, but if we find somebody better, we're going to marry that other person.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of gross, kind of ugly, but gross and ugly and chaotic and unfortunate. I mean, there's so many different adjectives we can use to apply to Barca. Over the last year. It really, not just Barca, but La Liga in general. It's been a very, very tough 14 months for that league and for the big clubs in that league. But what a mess, man. I mean, we think we have drama here in MLS, and then you hear something like that, and that's just off the chart. That's one of, I would argue, the 5 biggest clubs in the world. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild. We don't have drama like that in MLS right now. Give it time. It sounds like there could be some drama with Josie Altidore and Chris Armas, though.
Yeah.
There are reports that Josie Altidore has been told to train separate from the squad because of disputes with the new manager, Chris Armas.
Here's my shocked face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Josie's got a strong personality. Chris Armas has a strong personality. I am not surprised that has become combustible. As always, there's 2 sides to every story, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So I would love to hear, and I don't know if we ever will, I'd love to hear both sides of that story. But that is very interesting, because if Josie's being told to train off to the side, that is usually step 1 towards a parting of the ways.
An egress, yes, sir.
An egress, yes, sir. Absolutely. So that is worth keeping an eye on, because I do think Josie has some gas left in the tank. Yeah. Obviously, he's had a lot of bad luck with injuries, but I do think he has gas left in the tank. We are approaching a summer transfer window. That would be one worth monitoring, because Toronto would be foolish if this truly is a irreconcilable dispute between Armas and Altidore. It would be absolutely foolish for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment and the front office to side with Altidore and move on from Armas as a result. It should be the total opposite. Altidore's had a great career in Toronto, but time's running out. So that is definitely one worth monitoring. But I would like to know the full details of that story, too.
Yeah, Jeff Carlisle had the report from ESPN. He's under contract, Altidore, until 2022. He's a designated player. Allegedly, there have been arguments with Ali Curtis as well as Chris Armas. The question obviously has come up from a lot of people's where would he go? How would that happen? Where could he go? Who would make the most sense? That part I have no idea off the top of my head.
Are we talking about in MLS or just anywhere?
Right now it would have to be MLS, but I think the one thing to keep in mind is there's always been rumors, and I think Greg Vanney has said in the past there were offers for Josie Altidore from Mexican clubs.
Yeah.
That window will come up fairly soon if you want to wait till that. I just don't know what kind of financial offers would be there for him at this point. Inside the league, I'd have to run through it. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Austin would go down that road, although they could use a number 9 like Josie. I'll tell you who could if they wanted to, but I don't think it fits the way they want to do things, is Nashville.
Yeah.
But I don't think they need to. CJ Sapong is doing enough, and I don't think they want to bring in somebody maybe with if he's having arguments with coaches. I don't think Gary Smith wants to bring any of that in. So I don't know. I could see him leaving the league. I could see him going to Mexico. I honestly could.
Nashville has an open designated player spot, don't they? Cadiz and Mukhtar are DPs. Is Zimmerman's not a designated player, I don't think.
I want to say Leal is without looking, but the one thing on Cadiz is his loan, I believe, is up in the summer, and they have to make a decision.
Well, if they decide to not extend that loan, then it becomes a little more interesting for Altidore, if he is still available by then. Because you are correct that, look, we've talked so much about Nashville's spine, how much I love their spine. I love Romney and Zimmerman. I love Willis. I love McCarty. It's that tip of the spine, I guess the point of the spine that runs in your tailbone. I don't know what that's called.
Tip of the spear, yeah.
Where they probably could get a little better. No disrespect to CJ Sapong at all. But, CJ Sapong is a MLS veteran who Nashville was able to sign as a free agent after Chicago let him go. No disrespect to Sapong, and as you said, Cadiz could be gone in July. So that is one where it would make a little bit of sense. I just don't know how they can make it work with the wage bills if they decide to keep Cadiz. But long way to go on that. And there could be a reconciliation between now and then.
There definitely could be. It's going to get weird, so we'll keep you posted on that one as we go. Let's talk Nashville, and let's get into this match tomorrow. It's interesting that Josie comes up in this because I think something that Nashville has done that has taken them from a bunch of draws early on and a couple of shaky defensive performances to what is working for them right now is going to a 4-4-2 and playing CJ Sapong up top, who has kind of turned into, at this point in his career, a target forward, a smart player who can bring others into the game, but somebody who, you go back 5-6 years, CJ Sapong was getting in behind back lines, and you'd see him out wide from time to time. Now he is that player that Nashville, when they can't build out of the back, which is somewhat often because they're not great at that, they'll play long to Sapong, look for the knockdown, sometimes to Cadiz, sometimes to those wingers who come inside and Randall Leal and Alex Muehl. When they went to their 4-4-2 about 3 games ago, Nashville has started to click more. And they're not scoring a ton, but defensively in that shape, they're much better. And they haven't given up a goal, Mike, since seemingly 1993.
Pretty much. It's been 403 minutes. I've been looking at, I know, and this is sometimes a little bit deceptive and it doesn't tell the whole story, but I've been looking a lot at Nashville's average position maps on Opta for their last couple matches. And you're right that they're in a 4-4-2, but it really looks more like a 4-4-1-1.
Yeah.
Where it's Cadiz playing a little bit further back in the midfield with Sapong up a little bit higher. Still 2 up top, but Sapong noticeably higher up top than Cadiz.
Cadiz will roam.
Yeah. But to me, I think the story of this match, what this is likely going to come down to, Jason, is Nashville's left, Lovitz and Leal running at Atlanta's right, which could be Brooks Lennon, and then I don't know who your right center back is going to be. But that, to me, I think is where this game is going to be decided. I do think that, and let me be clear, I think Nashville's going to concede a lot of possession.
Yeah.
They're going to play 2 lines of 4.
They'll happily concede possession.
They're going to let Atlanta United have possession, but on counters, when things do get a little squirrely, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see if Nashville can exploit anything trying to run at Lennon and whoever the right center back is for Atlanta United on counters. Brooks Lennon is going to have a really, really important role in that tomorrow, I think. Because I like Lovitz and Leal as players a lot. I really like Leal. I think he's been probably Nashville's best overall player this year.
No question about that. He's out of SofaScore ratings league-wide, he's the third best player in the league in 2021.
Wow.
Randall Leal's been that good.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that good. Look, Nashville, they're going to get a lot of attention on their center backs because they haven't conceded in forever. And Zimmerman is the returning defender of the year, and I think he is the best center back in this league right now. Dave Romney's been phenomenal, and Willis has been really good. You know what's interesting, though, about Willis? They haven't conceded in 400 minutes. Do you know how many saves he has had over that span?
Not many.
That's a really good guess. It's a little higher than that. It's 7. He's only made 8 saves all year.
Wow.
They've played 6 matches, and he's only made 8 saves all year. Now, what's funny about that is Austin actually had 14 shots on Sunday. There was only 1 on target of the 14. So I think that tells you a lot about how Nashville concedes possession but doesn't allow teams to break them down in the final third, and they are willing to settle for teams taking long-distance attempts against them. But I think Leal has been just absolutely phenomenal for them this year, and that's the guy I'm watching. It's just going to come down to, I'm wondering, how much possession is Nashville willing to concede? Because I could easily see the possession numbers being 66-33 or even more lopsided towards Atlanta United tomorrow.
70-30. That's my prediction. That is a sneak peek of the countdown to kickoff. That is my prediction.
Something else now.
70 is my magic number.
Okay.
Well, and then
what we
no doubt. And then what we've also seen from Nashville is taking advantage of those opportunities, Mike, specifically in set pieces when you have someone who is who can be a raging sequoia at times in Walker Zimmerman coming in and crashing the 6 on this. So set pieces for me is something else in those chances where we know that they're going to surrender possession, taking advantage of those opportunities that we've seen them do in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Walker is 6'3". He scored on the set piece against Atlanta United last year up in Nashville on February 29th. That's a big, big concern of mine for tomorrow, John, because that's where Atlanta United's getting dinged occasionally this year, set pieces and big moments. Raul Rui Diaz is substantially less tall than Walker Zimmerman.
Yes.
And you saw that Atlanta United didn't really mark that corner in the 6th minute in Seattle very well.
Let's not have Joseph marking Walker Zimmerman again.
Well, you know what's funny, though, because don't they usually position Joseph on the front post, regardless of man marking or anything like that?
Usually, yes. But that game in Nashville last year, I had bad flashbacks to when you started talking about Zimmerman on set pieces, because Joseph wasn't on that front post in that one. He was marking Zimmerman and got beat.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, well, it was a beautiful ball. I mean, it landed right at him.
Yeah.
The service is a big part of it, too. Yes, John, spot on. Huge concern in this match. And that gives you flashbacks to the Philadelphia match from a couple weeks ago, where you can dominate possession. You can create all kinds of chances, from any spot in the final third, really. But if you get a right place, right time set piece, and they can serve it up to Zimmerman, and he can go up and get it, Atlanta United's going to have challenges dealing with that. So, spot on. That's a huge concern in this match. Nashville's got a lot of tall players. Godoy is 6 feet tall. Just looking at my notes here, Alistair Johnson's almost 6 feet tall. He's 5'11". So they're going to have some targets. They're going to have some guys. Cadiz is 6'3". Jonder Cadiz is listed as 6'3". Sapong is 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have some targets. It's going to be a major challenge for Atlanta United to deal with those tomorrow.
Have to work on not giving up those set pieces. A couple of things from the Twitch pitch interesting this morning. Jason Nix asked about Walker Zimmerman. Did he play with LAFC when they were here? He did. He played with FC Dallas in the first game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And it's been really weird in games in Atlanta, and Zimmerman from Lawrenceville, he has really struggled.
Not very good at all.
He had a huge mistake in that 2017 game. That 2017 Dallas game, he had an awful mistake to start the second half.
Yeah, and LAFC with him as a center back got torched in 18. Yeah. And then the match they played here last year, Atlanta, that was Glassie's first match as manager. That was dominant.
That was Pity Martinez, the Pity special. I mean, he was amazing in that match.
Yeah, so it is very strange, and sometimes that can just be coincidental.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be causal. But that is not a bad point. It doesn't change the fact, though, that Zimmerman is going to be a threat on set piece.
100%.
So put the defending piece aside for a second. And going back to what you said about you can't give up those set pieces, I mean, it's unrealistic to think that Nashville's not going to have set pieces in this game.
No, of course not.
What Atlanta United has to do is not give them up in threatening spots.
Yes. You have to pick where you're going to commit fouls. You have to be very careful about it.
And that's the avoidable aspect of all of it. I know some eyebrows were raised at the referee assignment. I like Alan Kelly as a referee. Alan Kelly lets the players play and tends to try not to inject himself unless the match really needs his controlling hand. So, I think Atlanta United is probably going to be able to tactically foul in the midfield without much punishment, if you get my drift, with Alan Kelly as a referee tomorrow. Same could be said for Nashville, of course.
One other bit from the Twitch pitch, our good friend Johannes is chiming in that Brooks Lennon and Daniel Lovitz are two of the top 10 players in MLS in created chances off of set pieces. So as good as Lovitz has been, and he'll deliver those with the left foot for Nashville, Brooks Lennon's right there too, and he's creating really good chances from set pieces with his right foot. So set pieces, I mean, I hope this game doesn't come down to set pieces, but you've got two of the best in delivery with those two.
The Lennon part surprises me a little bit.
Corners, I think.
Because just going back to feel, I mean, Lennon was taking a lot of the free kicks and corners in Seattle, but why do I feel like Moreno has done some of that? And obviously Barco's done a lot of it, and Barco could be back tomorrow. I don't think Barco would start. In fact, Atlanta United officially is listing Barco as questionable for tomorrow. I know that Heinze did say that he would be available, but just on the official injury report, it should be noted, Barco and Franco are listed as questionable. So I don't know how much you would expect Barco to play tomorrow.
30?
Yeah, I think that's a good guess. You don't know because you don't know how long he's been training.
Yeah, you never know.
So, I mean, you can't be positive, but 30 is probably a good guess. My point is, I think once Barco gets fully fit, back into everything, he will probably be the delivery point on a lot of those set pieces. But for now, I mean, that actually, Johannes' number makes a lot of sense now, come to think of it, because Lennon has been on a lot of those, and he has been very good.
And, going with the Barco point a little further, when it comes to Nashville and what you could see in that final 30 minutes, it was a point that we talked about, Jason, last night when we were at Anderby. Jake Mulroney coming in and giving you that final 30 as well, where basically you're looking at a team that has been surrendering possession. If we anticipate Nashville doing what they're doing, surrendering possession 70-30 for Atlanta, and then in the final 30 minutes you have the opportunity to bring in an Ezequiel Barco, to bring in a Jake Mulroney, to continue to run at them and add that extra gear, to add that extra little bit of pressure, to have Nashville defend for that final X amount of minutes. I think that could be the substitution pattern, and what you're seeing in that final 30 minutes could be key as well.
And that's why I think Mulroney coming off the bench is working right now. A lot of people are saying that Heinze's got to start him because he has been very good. But I see this a lot in the NBA. Sometimes it just makes more sense to bring a guy off the bench because the matchup is a little bit better. I think that's especially so in soccer. You get a fresh-legged Jake Mulroney running at tired legs. Those tired legs might be Daniel Lovitz. It might be Dave Romney. That's where I think it would make a lot of sense to continue using Mulroney in his current role. Barco being available for selection does change that a little bit, I think, long-term going forward. But, yeah, absolutely. Heinze doesn't like subbing a lot, but when he does, usually he gets those moves right.
Yeah, with Barco being available, if he's available off the bench, then you could afford to start Mulroney. I know they do different things, but Mulroney's been impactful as a second-half sub for the attack. And I don't know if Eric Lopez would be as impactful coming off the bench in those moments. He's probably better to start him. Mulroney comes off the bench. But if you have Barco as that impact sub and his quality, you would think that it would be impactful. You might be able to go with Mulroney to start. You always kind of need, and this is something that I think gets left out of the conversation when we talk about who should start, what should the starting lineup be. You always want one good defensive option off the bench in case it's needed, in case you need to shut the game down, and one good attacking option off the bench that can give you something different, that can change it. And that's sometimes a reason why, like you said, Mike, like you get guys who don't start but are impactful in bench roles because they give you that option to change the game with a substitution, more impactful than if they had started and played more time.
Right. I also think there is a difference between being available and, we're going to play him.
That part we don't know. Yeah.
And that's the part that I'm still not clear on. Let's say Barco's just available. And look, we might get a hint when we get the team sheet tomorrow. I think you're onto something, Jason. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it also gives Gary Smith something else to think about.
Yeah.
Well, but if Mulroney is starting, okay, there's your hint. Barco's probably available.
He's really available, yeah.
If it's not Mulroney, if it's Eric Lopez or someone else, that might tell me that Barco's more of a break glass situation. We just don't know. And, I mean, we've gotten all the information that we're going to get, I think. But that's we've talked about. I mean, that's just soccer. That's part of how things go. But that would be one kind of interesting thing that I would look for when we get the starters tomorrow. Is Mulroney in the starting lineup? Is he not? And the potential implications for Barco there. I do think it's good news that Barco at least has moved into the available category, because those muscle injuries, as you guys know, I mean, that could be a 2-week deal. That could be a 3-month deal. And it looks like it's on the less severe side for Barco, which is good.
Question from the Twitch pitch. Has a DP ever been sent to the twos before for recovery?
Not that I'm aware of. I can't think of a time that's happened. It doesn't mean it can't. I can't think of any of the designated players getting minutes with the twos. We have seen important players get minutes with the twos. Franco Escobar played with the twos at least once coming back from injury. Maybe he's the highest profile one, to be honest.
Did Tito Villalba play with the twos once?
No.
Yeah, I don't remember Barco ever playing with the twos. Joseph certainly didn't. I know that. Moreno never played with the twos when he was a DP. Almiron never played with the twos. So no, I don't think that's happened.
And just you have folks in the Twitch pitch just having this vision of Ezequiel Barco getting some reps in the USL Championship.
But I mean, I don't.
Not necessary.
I don't think it's necessary. We don't know. That's the thing we're guessing about here. And it's very smart for the team to put it out this way because, like John said, this gives Gary Smith something to think about. Barco being questionable doesn't mean he doesn't start. He could start. He could play 45. He could play 60. He could play 90. Who knows? But he could also come off the bench, or he could just be available and there, to maybe only give you 10 or 15. Don't know. And if he doesn't play, and if you're in that last opportunity, if you're in that last spot where you really only have 10 or 15, that's about all you can give at this point. You might not play because the game might not dictate to where you can bring that player in. It might be, making that change might not make sense. You got to win the game or get the result you need to get. If that was to happen and then he doesn't play, but you wanted to get him a little bit of work, sure, having the twos play the next day if he's on the USL roster, which I think has to be turned in 48 hours before, and it's a large roster. It's not just 18 or 20. Sure, if he doesn't get that time, then yeah, he could go over on Sunday and get that time there. But I don't think that's the plan with him. I don't think that's necessarily needed here. It sounds like the plan is to work him back into the first team. We just don't know how many minutes he's got to give on Saturday.
Yeah, and remember, once you get through Saturday, then you don't have to worry a whole lot for another week or two.
Yeah.
I don't know what the club's position is going to be on his call-up to friendlies.
Let me clarify that real fast. Sorry. It's U23s. It's not the Argentine national team. That needs to be understood. It's the Argentine U23s, and it's friendlies as they get ready for the Olympics. It's not the World Cup qualifiers coming up. Like, you can't decline World Cup qualifier call-ups. You can decline any youth national team call-up, even for youth national team World Cups. Now, I don't know if they're going to decline it or not, because the games are going to take place during the break, and if he's back, in air quotes, to some degree, they might let him go. They might want his recovery to happen here, but they can decline it. We just don't know if they will.
Right. I don't know what the position is on that.
Yeah.
Honestly, listing him as questionable could, I don't know, open up some rhetorical avenues, if you will, if the conversations are still ongoing. I mean, we literally have no idea. We have no idea what the club's position on that is going to be. I'm sure they would rather it, like, if they had a choice, I'm sure they would love for him to remain in Atlanta. But you also have to take the players' wishes into account a little bit, too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's a lot of managing to go on there.
So, Mike, is your gut something like 1-0 here on the weekend?
One goal at the most. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't really like predicting outcomes and score lines, as you guys know. But this really, really has scoreless draw, the feel of a scoreless draw, or 1-0 at most. And if there is a goal, it's on a set piece. I think it's going to be too difficult for each team to break down each other on open play. In open play, excuse me. I don't see any open play goals in fact, that's going to be my prediction. Thank you, Jason. I was going to go with the possession number, but I'm going to predict. I'm sure the club's not going to like me for doing that, but 0 open play goals in this match. It just has that feeling to me. And look, I know that's probably going to create some narratives after the match if that's how it turns out, but Nashville has not lost this year.
Neither had Orlando City and Seattle when Atlanta United played them either.
Yeah, well,
and they got draws against them as well.
Yeah. I just, Nashville's really tough to break down. That's all I'll say. They are really, really tough to break down. And I'm not going to be overly concerned if this match ends up in a scoreless draw. It just has that kind of feel to it. If it does end in a scoreless draw, Atlanta United's 2-1-4 going into the international break. If they win, they're 3-1-3. Either way, I would take that. Even if they're 2-2-3 going into the international break, they're still in a position where all their goals are still in front of them with a long way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see where this goes. We'll talk more about it on Countdown to Kickoff. That'll come out later this afternoon on the Atlanta United YouTube page in the 2 to 3 o'clock region. So be on the lookout for that. Mike, I'll be talking to you here shortly about that.
Okay, about 30, 40 minutes or so?
About so, yes.
Okay, I need to know because I have to walk Clark, so that's good.
Okay, you've got time.
Okay, all right. Talk to you in a bit. See you guys.
Right. Clark. Thanks, Mike. Look, the chatter will come up if this game is not a high-scoring one, because it always does. It takes two to tango, and Nashville doesn't like to tango. So that's going to be part of the conversation about this match, and Atlanta has to find a way to get the result first. If they can get the result in a wildly entertaining way, great. but they have to find a way to get the result against a team who doesn't want to really open up and play. And that's the nature of the game against teams that are more limited in certain ways. And that's just where it is. Doesn't mean it's boring. Low scoring doesn't equal boring. That's something that we really have to eliminate from the conversation here. There are plenty of low scoring games that are nowhere near boring. And there's honestly plenty of high scoring games that are not good. Mm-hmm. A goal here and there might be good, but it doesn't mean the game was played well. There's plenty of low-scoring games that are played well, and if you enjoy that, then cool. If you don't, that's fine too, but it is subjective to that, and just low-scoring doesn't always equal bad.
Check.
We'll see what happens, but Nashville's got to come to play, and I don't think they will.
Right. With Jarrett coming back in, as we're going to talk about MLS and fantasy for the remainder of the show, before we talk breaking news out of the Athletic UK.
Yes.
Oh God.
Eddie Howe will not move to Celtic after negotiations collapse. Celtic have been in talks with Howe for several weeks, but talks between the two parties were not successful and have drawn to a close from Oliver Kay.
Oh, good grief.
About right.
Jarrett, your thoughts quickly. Bad place, huh?
This is the bad place. Just hire Frank Lampard and get it over with, please.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I swear to God, if John Kennedy is coaching this team at the beginning of the season, I will lose my mind.
No, I think
I will have to be sectioned.
Hasn't he been linked to smaller teams?
Like Ross County or something?
I hope he has been linked to I don't know, man, I'm trying to think of the most rural place.
Oh, maybe he could go hang out with that weird Partick Thistle mascot, the goofy-looking son.
Good grief. Okay, a couple things before we move into MLS because we don't have a lot of time. Pep Guardiola has made it clear in comments this morning that he is not going anywhere, so the idea of Joan Laporta with a boombox outside of his house, he's staying at Manchester City no matter what happens. You can put the boombox down. He's not going anywhere no matter what happens tomorrow. Also, Wasserman in the Netherlands is tweeting again, and they have really thrown some gigantic shade at Barcelona and Joan Laporta for seemingly confirming the idea that Koeman went to the hospital due to anxiety yesterday, because Laporta basically gave credence to that report from yesterday's Spanish media, or Barcelona media specifically, in his press conference this morning, and they made it clear that that was not the case. So, yeah, this is going to get really ugly with Ronald Koeman at Barcelona. I don't see that ending well. And Pep Guardiola's not going anywhere, and Celtic still doesn't have a manager. They're in the mix with everybody else who doesn't have a manager. This is going to get stupid. MLS could get a little stupid this weekend because it's prone to do that from time to time, especially when it's after dark. But we will start with our run-through of the MLS schedule at Red Bull Arena. Saturday, 1 o'clock, ESPN Plus, Red Bulls hosting Orlando City. Ismail Elfath is your referee. Red Bulls lead the all-time series, 6 wins to 5 for Orlando, 2 draws. Red Bulls have lost 2 in a row after looking interesting. Andres Reyes decided to go for the unique hat trick of a goal, a yellow card, and a second yellow card, all in the first half.
There you go.
He's out for this one. Orlando is still getting the job done this year, although there have been a fair number of draws in their run. Sylvester Vanderwater got his first assist in MLS and his first start last week. What are the numbers on Red Bulls and Orlando, John?
Red Bulls plus 121. Your draws a plus 242. Orlando City's a plus 222 to win in 90 minutes.
So nobody has any idea what's going to happen in this, basically.
Nope.
Jarrett, what do you think?
Orlando's playing much like a team similar to an Atlanta United team from 2019 at certain points, where they're getting the goal, they're doing the defensive work, and apparently that wasn't good enough then, but it is now. I don't know, man. I'm tempted to take Orlando here for the defensive work and just take Orlando in another 1-0 win. Orlando eventually is going to turn the engine on, I would think, offensively, because there's talent there. Woe be unto them, though, the day Nani stops saving them. until they get Daryl Dike back.
3 wins, 3 draws for Orlando this season. I think they add 4th draw in this one. I think it's a draw.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's probably something 1-1-ish, but I'm looking draw.
Chicago, Montreal, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Soldier Field. ESPN Plus is where you can watch. Victor Rivas is the referee. Montreal leads the all-time series with 8 wins to Chicago's 7, 6 draws. Chicago got their first win of the season last week, 1-0 in a horrendous game with Miami. Luka Stojanovic scored the goal. Montreal's lost 2 in a row. They lost to Atlanta, and they had a horrendous loss to Cincinnati on the weekend. This is a weird one to call. Montreal is been the better team this year. Chicago, I think, is the better team on paper, but they haven't played like it really at all. What are the numbers? Because I have no idea how to feel about this game.
Chicago's a -112.
Oh.
Your draw is a +250, and Club de Foot is a +317 in the composite.
That's putting a juice box on Montreal.
Yep.
just because I have no faith in Chicago.
Nope.
No, buddy.
I'm like early start. No faith in Chicago. I'm going draw.
Okay, Columbus hosting Toronto at historic Crew Stadium, one of the last games that will be played there, 3 o'clock Eastern. Alan Chapman is the referee. Columbus 14 wins, Toronto 11, 12 draws in the all-time series. Columbus hasn't looked great this year, but they got the 2-1 win over NYC with Lucas Delarayon, both goals from free kicks, the 6th player in MLS history to score 2 free kick goals in a single game. Kevin Kratz is also on that list. Toronto lost to Orlando 1-0 in a pretty decent game last weekend. We got the Josie Altidore stuff to the side. We'll see if he is in the team or not in the team, or if we hear anything more about Josie Altidore's situation tomorrow. What are the numbers on Columbus and Toronto?
Columbus +110. Your draw is a +257. Toronto is a +236 on the road.
I like Columbus at home, especially with a plus number. I think they find a way, even though they haven't exactly been convincing this year.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Jarrett?
Disappointing draw, miserable to watch.
Good, I won't have to because it's at 3 o'clock. Cincinnati and New England is also at 3 o'clock from TQL Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. David Gantar is the referee. Each team has won one from the other in the all-time series, no draws. Cincinnati got their first win of the season. Jurgen Locadia remembered where the goal was. New England won for the 4th time in 7 matches this season, 2 in a row, beating the Red Bulls at Gillette Stadium Saturday night. They did have a man advantage for a large portion of it. New England is probably a good favorite here. It is on the road. It is a Cincinnati team that might have a little bit of momentum. What are the numbers?
You're correct. The Revs are a -104, and intriguingly in the composite, both the draw and FC Cincinnati to win are at a +268.
New England.
Yes.
I think they get it done. Carlos Heel, spoiler alert, is my fantasy captain again after a great week last week. He keeps the armband for Polyolandia, and he will lead Polyolandia to another big week.
Yeah, I got to go with a big number from New England here.
I don't know about a big number from them. I don't know about that, but I think they win. Jarrett?
New England. Cincinnati is just... I have so many questions about you, Cincinnati.
You're not believing in them yet?
Get your life together, Cincinnati.
Come on, man.
You have no optimism about Cincinnati?
Oh!
I saw it somewhere. It's
No.
awful.
No, I do not.
Yeah, I wanted to use it because it's so bad. L.A. hosting New York City, 5 o'clock Eastern time. It is on Unimas. Kevin Stott is your referee. Neither team has ever beaten the other one. 2 draws, lifetime, all-time series. LAFC won for their first time since the opener. They had went 4 in a row without winning. They beat Colorado 2-1. Diego Rossi scored both of the goals. NYC had a lead, gave up 2 free kicks to Zelarayan. They lost 2-1. Ismail Tajori-Shradi scored the goal for NYC. They didn't play last year. Both 2-2 draws the times they've played in 2018 and 2019. What are the numbers here?
LAFC is a -128. Your draw is a +293. NYC a +323 on the road.
Ooh. Give me the draw.
Give me NYC on the road in an upset.
Ooh, Jared, getting crazy.
I think LAFC gets this one done. Probably 2-1, 3-2, something like that. I think LAFC gets the Duke.
Okay.
We've appropriately covered all the bases. I'm proud of us.
Yeah. The other LA team, the Galaxy, are hosting Jarrett Smith's San Jose Earthquakes, 7 o'clock Eastern
Cali
time.
Classico.
It's on Unimas. It is on TUDN. It is at Dignity Health Sports Park. Joseph Dickerson is the referee. All-time series, LA Galaxy 32 wins, San Jose 26, 16 draws. Galaxy had won 2 in a row. They got spanked by the Timbers 3-0. Derek Williams was red carded for ending Andy Polo's season. We don't know how long he will be out. He will miss this one for sure. San Jose lost 3-1 to Sporting Kansas City. They got the opening goal and then kind of got run off the field. Is that fair, Jarrett?
I think it's very fair.
Okay. Can the Galaxy run the Quakes off the field? Kevin Cabral got his first start for the Galaxy. I want to see how they replace Williams, but we'll see that when the lineup comes out. What are the numbers?
Galaxy a +106. Your draw is a +262. San Jose is a +244.
Galaxy wins. Sorry, Jarrett.
No, I got the Galaxy winning this game too.
They've played... Doing the math.
Play better, more consistently.
Well, I was looking at the lifetime. 35 games that the Galaxy have hosted against the Quakes, and LA's won 21 of them lifetime.
Galaxy will win, but Shea Salinas will score a goal in this game because that's what Shea Salinas does.
3-1 Galaxy. I think it's kind of wide open. I think Chicharito gets back on the board.
Total over under 3.5 is a +118. 4.5 is a +269.
No, I'm not going that crazy. Galaxy get the win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
8 o'clock Eastern, Drive Pink Stadium, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Maybe a drunken MLS game between Miami and D.C. Armando Villarreal is your referee. They've played one time in history, and D.C. got the win in that one. Miami lost to Chicago in an awful, no-good game last Saturday. D.C. lost 1-0 to Philadelphia in not so great of a game either. Robbie Robinson is back from Miami. He came on as a halftime substitute last week. Paul Arriola played the full 90 for D.C. last week, his first full game since October of 2019. What are the numbers for Miami and D.C.?
Miami a -132 at home. D.C., the draw is a +265. D.C. to win is a +372.
Draw. I'll take the draw on that. I still do not understand the odds makers' belief in Miami that has been there from day one of the club's existence. I don't get it. Draw.
I'll go with Inter Miami here, and it won't be pretty.
I'm going to go with DC on the... This is that game that DC makes it work somehow for like 75 minutes and racks up goals and makes you ask questions about, oh, maybe this can work. But it only happens in a spurt. I think this might be that game, especially against that back line.
Sporting Kansas City hosting Houston Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern Time. Drew Fisher is the referee. Houston leads the all-time series, 13 wins to Sporting's 10, 13 draws. Kansas City beat San Jose on the road. Alan Pulido got a goal, his third in the last 2 games. He also had an assist. Pulido's starting to get hot. Dynamo won their second in 3 games. They beat Vancouver 2-1 at home last Saturday. Maxi Urruti scored. Memo Rodriguez scored his second goal of the season, also had an assist. What are the numbers for Kansas City and Houston?
Sporting a -149. Your draw is a +284. Houston is a +411.
Kansas City wins.
Yep.
I still don't believe in Houston on the road until they prove otherwise. This has been a long-running thing. Lifetime in Kansas City. Actually, it's funny. Lifetime, it's 5 wins apiece and 7 draws. But last few years, Houston's been horrible on the road. So I will continue to go Kansas City here. Jarrett?
Yep, Sporting.
Sporting. I really like Tab Ramos and what he's doing in Houston.
I do too.
I think Alan Polito's getting into one of those modes, though. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
Per your comments, like, Polito's hot.
Yeah.
Polito will stay hot.
Yeah, I think so. I think he continues to stay hot against Houston. Colorado and Dallas, 9 o'clock Eastern. Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City. Guido Gonzalez Jr. is your referee. Lifetime, Dallas 34 wins, Colorado 24, 18 draws. Colorado had a 3-game winning streak before losing to LAFC. Dallas is undefeated at home, 3 draws in 4 games. Woo! 2-2 draw with RSL on Saturday. Franco Jara scored a penalty. Ryan Hollingshead scored a really nice goal. What are the numbers on Rapids and Dallas?
Rapids are a minus 130 at home. Draws a plus 298. Dallas is a plus 318.
Draw, and I would probably find an extra juice box on a Dallas win because I could absolutely see it happen. But I'm thinking
I am
it'll be a draw.
irresponsibly going straight for the Dallas win. Just because of the numbers.
Yeah. I'm not touching it, but if I was, it would be on the Dallas side of things. I'll go wacky draw.
That is very irresponsible of a Dallas win there, Jarrett. But you're a degenerate, so we're not surprised. RSL hosting Minnesota, 9:30 Eastern Time, Saturday night. Rio Tinto is the location. Jair Marufo is the referee. Minnesota's got 4 wins in the series, RSL 2, 4 draws. RSL have back-to-back games with a result with that 2-2 draw against Dallas. Rubio Rubin, 4 goals on the year. Damir Kreilach scored his 2nd of the year. Minnesota took the week off. They had the bye week. They've won 2 in a row in very unconvincing fashion, 2 1-0 wins. Robin Lod scored deep in second half stoppage time. It wasn't pretty. Do the Loons go to Utah and get a win? What are the numbers?
RSL plus 108. Your draws a plus 261. The Loons are a plus 236.
RSL until the Loons prove otherwise.
Yep.
RSL, and I'm setting the over-under on red cards at 1.5 in this game.
It's possible.
Minnesota's not been convincing. They haven't been great, and they're going to be really mad probably about the whole keeper kicking the ball into the stands thing. I could see this getting done.
I hope so. That could be fun. I forgot about the David Ochoa gate situation. Could get very interesting. Sunday, 7 o'clock, FS1 and Fox Deportes. Philadelphia hosting Portland at Subaru Park in Chester, PA. Robert Sabiga is your referee. Lifetime, Portland has dominated. 6 wins to Philadelphia's 1, 3 draws. We know no Andy Polo for the rest of the year for the Timbers. They've won 2 in a row by clean sheet with Logan Ketterer on loan from the El Paso Locomotive in goal. They keep finding a way to get it done. Felipe Morris scored two against the LA Galaxy. Philadelphia, undefeated in 4, 2 straight wins. They beat DC on a Kasper Shabilko goal, 1-0. He's got 7 goals in all competitions, 2 in MLS. What are the numbers for Philly and Portland?
Philly minus 118. Your draws a plus 301. Portland's a plus 276. I think it's a draw.
Philadelphia should win, but man, I really want to take Portland here. I can't do it. I think Philadelphia gets the win.
Philadelphia, go with your heart.
Yeah, it's actually the other way. My head is Philadelphia. My heart is Portland, goes on the road and gets an upset, but I don't think they do here. I think Philadelphia is too good. And the last game of the weekend, Seattle hosting Austin, 9:30, FS1 Fox Deportes. They got the doubleheader Sunday night. Rosendo Mendoza is your referee. It is the first time they have ever met in history. Seattle's undefeated on the year. Austin has lost 3 in a row. What are the numbers?
Biggest dog on the board, no surprise. Seattle's a minus 172. Your draw's a plus 318. Austin. Verde is a plus 438.
Seattle.
Yes. Yes.
Like, not even considering it could be anything else. I think being on the road as long as Austin has, and just the nature of it, it's catching up to them. It's just tough. So I think
Seattle's going to take out. They're going to take out some aggression on Austin.
They could.
They're mad about what happened against Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. They very well could take out that aggression. John, do you have any updates from our fantasy league from last week?
Yeah, the Love It, Hate It was posted.
Do you have the results from last week's scores?
Results from last week's scores. I can dig that up real quick.
Yes, I would like for you to dig that up.
Okay.
Do some digging.
Well, he does that. I can give you my team for the week.
There you go.
Give us your team for the week, Jarrett.
It's bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
I know. So Andre Blake is in goal.
That's fine.
This is a 4-4-2.
Okay.
More of a flat 4-4-2 than a diamond.
Why are you going 4-4-2? Why?
Because I'm too lazy to change it.
That's absurd, Jared. Okay, what do you have?
Brooks Lennon.
Yes, he's in my team.
Alex Roldan against a tired Austin team.
He is also in my team.
I'm taking Richie Larea this week.
Okay.
Brandon Bai. Lucas Zelarayan, who is captaining my team.
I like Brandon Bai. I don't like Richie Larea in this week. Okay, you've got Zelarayan. I have him in my team.
Mm-hmm.
He's my captain.
I do not have him as my captain.
Randall Leal.
Good shout. He's been in my team for a while. I don't have him in my team this week.
I have Lewis Morgan, just on the principle that if someone does something, it might be Lewis Morgan.
That's how you're going to roll. I think it's a bad way to roll, but go for it. Live your life.
Caden Clark.
Okay.
I might change out. I'm not sure about.
Okay.
And then two strikers up top: Rubio Rubin and Rui Diaz.
Okay. I don't have either one of them, but I've had both of them at different points this season. What were the numbers from last week? What was the top five?
The top five from last week, because I was looking at schedule and standings. So
we have an open league, where there's like team everybody.
I know. Hang on. All right. So leagues and soccer down here open, where I am smack dab in the middle. Darren Eel's burner account is at number 1 with a 91-point week at 473. Mm-hmm. Joseph Martinez uses the Oxford comma, had a 99-point week and is number 2.
You're not doing it at all in the order of how things went last week.
Well, how do you want me to do it from last week?
Like not number 1 at 91 points and number 2 at 99 points, because that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, well, the most points scored last week was generic fantasy team name Patterson scored 114.
That's really good.
Dunder Mifflin B team had 105. Mm-hmm. Joseph Martinez uses the Oxford comma at 98. Poyo Landia had 98. And Czech Joe
That's the only thing
98.
I wanted. Okay, thank you. I finished 4th. That's the first time that's ever happened. I had a great week last week. I was very happy. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for indulging me. It just took a long time.
I was trying to figure out what you were hunting for. So
well, duh. Carlos Heel led me to my good week last week. So this week, my lineup, and there is a graphic for all this, John, by the way, as Ricky Ricardo reminds you on the Twitch pitch.
Okay.
Yeah. Stephen Cleveland in goal for me because he's cheap and they're playing Austin. Backline, I'm in a 3-4-3. Alex Roldan, Julio Araujo, and Brooks Lennon. Midfield, I complete the Roldan brother duo, Christian Roldan, Jamiro Montero, Lucas Zelarayan, and Carlos Heel, and he is my captain. And up front, a fearsome trio of Alan Pulido, Chicharito, and Gonzalo Higuain.
Okay. I have Cleveland in net as well. I'm in a 3-4-3. I have a back line of Farrell, Nuhu, and Brandon Bai going up against Cincinnati. My middle 4, a captain to Carlos Heel, Zelarayan, Ilie, and Jack Price going up against Dallas.
I'm going to start telling you like different captains from now on so you don't steal my captain, but that's okay.
I haven't touched it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then up top, I have Gonzalo Higuain, Raul Rui Diaz, and Cade Cowell in Cali Classico.
I think that Cade Cowell pick's going to come back to bite you. Don't think he's doing it these days. He's slowing down.
At 5.3, it was a budgetary selection.
Budgetary selections don't give you any bonus points, John. Just telling you. Take it from somebody who finished 4th in the Open League last week. I actually feel like I can back up my picks now because I had a good week. I can say, yeah, listen to what I did. Ricky Ricardo went with Turner in goal, Farrell, Brad Smith, and Hollingshead in the back. Midfield, Heel, Roldan, Krylock, and Memo Rodriguez. Chicharito, Gonzalo Higuain, and Rui Diaz up front. Rui Diaz is his captain, and he might drop Higuain and add Polito. Alex Lohman asks about Vela being back. He was back last week. I don't think he played 90 last week, so I'm wondering if he's like back or just there. He looked kind of there. But okay. I don't know what his value is. I haven't looked at adding him yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Because I don't think he's playing all that well. But he did get an assist. So you might want to start to consider it. But if his value is super high, you might want to wait.
Checking quickly and seeing where Vela's value is. Forward. Rossi is still more expensive. Vela's at a 9.
Yeah, it's a little high for what he's given you at this point. Will, I don't know if the Roldans have assisted on a goal to the other in the league. I'm not sure if that's true. I know the Higuains have. I would be very happy if the Roldans assisted a Roldan goal. If there's an Alex to Christian Roldan goal this week, I'd be very happy with that. And Polio Landia would
double
celebrate.
familial points.
Yes. Yeah, I should get bonus points for that.
But, no, I am smack dab in the middle of the pack. I'm like 38th or 39th in the league and 15th in the relegation league currently.
All right, what's the hate it or love it?
Okay, so hate it or love it before we go, as I scanned down quickly to figure out where it was. And there were a couple in there that were interesting.
I've moved up to 16th in the Open League. I had the 18th overall week in the Atlanta United official league. I've never had a week like that, so I'm very happy with my fantasy team for a week.
All right, your love defender DeJuan Jones against Cincinnati, 5.3. Only 2% own him currently.
That's a good shout, and that 2%'s a good one. He could absolutely get involved in the attack against Cincinnati. I like that.
Midfield, Julian Gressel at 7.8 with only 2% owning so far.
I think there's a reason why the 2%, but it is a game that he could factor in this one. He absolutely could, but he hasn't done a whole lot.
Forward love, Gustavo Bo at 9.1 with only 5% owning.
I was really close. I went Polito instead, but I was really close to going Gustavo Bo. That's a really good play for people, I think.
Johannes is in with a 3-4-3. Cleveland, Lennon, Brad Smith, Jeff Cameron, Zelarayan, Heel, Mihailovic, Krylock, captained Polito, Rui Diaz, and Rossi. He really wants to pick Jefferson Satelda, but maybe needs to wait another week. Your hates from Ryan Walker and our friends at the Jason Wright Agency. Hate Ryan Hollingshead at 6.4 at Colorado. Scored in the 83rd minute of last week's game against RSL to salvage his week. Otherwise, he was looking at a 1. I think your money can be spent on a better home defender that will produce more bonus points.
Yeah, it could. He's one of those that could be a wild card. I mean, if you feel really good about Dallas going to Colorado and getting a result, he could be a good play. But there's better options this week.
Midfielder hate Randall Leal at 8.4 with 18% owning.
Just because I think they're going to come in and be very defensive against Atlanta, and that's why I dropped him from my team. I think in general he's a great play at home and potentially a good play on the road, depending on who they're playing, but not in this one because I just don't think they'll have much of the ball.
And the hate at forward is Gonzalo Higuain at 10.4 against DC United. Miami are struggling to find consistency to start the season, and at 10.4, Higuain is too much of a risk to bust to be 17% owned. He has a 1, 2, and 3-point performance in his average right now, so starting him is also asking for a value drop.
Could be. I think they'll get goals against DC, but that does make me consider the possibility of dropping him for Gustavo Bou, and I will consider that after listening to the Hate It or Love It picks of the week. I'm going to think about that one. I will take it under advisement. Pollo Landia will consider this before the lineups become official tomorrow.
Yeah, and has the Netherlands offshoot of the Wasserman Agency said anything in the last hour?
Give them time. We'll have to see if they have. Let me check. It's very possible because they've been very vocal this morning. I'll see if Juventus has tweeted out a picture of Minnesota again because, why not?
They're going to hire They're going to hire.
No, they already hired somebody, John. They're good. James Rodriguez was left out of the Colombia squad, and he issued a statement, and he is devastated. Okay, that's a weird one. Manchester City is training ahead of tomorrow's final right now. People are watching. More from BBC about how Eddie Howe has rejected Celtic, Jarrett. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is what the BBC said.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's got an offer from south of the border.
He could not assemble the backroom team he wanted, is what some are saying.
It's a weird time for Celtic. They're changing a lot of things above the management, too. So I wonder if there was some miscommunication between the changeover in management.
Bavarian Football Works.
What he could and could not do.
Right. Bavarian Football Works, SB Nation's site on Bayern Munich, is reporting that Real Madrid will pay David Alaba more than Robert Lewandowski's salary. That feels dumb, but okay.
Decision?
Yeah, it's something. No, I don't think the Wasserman Agency of the Netherlands has had to say anything else about Joan Laporta, but they are not happy with Joan Laporta's actions. They are not happy with these things, and we will see because I'm sure it will continue to come up as we go because, it's making the rounds in, like, sport in Barcelona right now, the huge newspaper based in Barcelona that, yes, the message has come from Koeman's agency, and it's directed at Laporta, and I'm sure there will be more chaos the rest of the day. Be on the lookout for news. We'll try to share what we see about the craziness around the world that we've talked about this morning. Countdown to kickoff will be on the Atlanta United YouTube page between 2 and 3 or so this afternoon. Be on the lookout for that. Mike Conti and I will get you ready for Atlanta and Nashville. Everything tomorrow with that match. 3 o'clock is pregame both on TV on Bally Sports South and on 92.9 The Game. Kickoff will be just after 3:30. Full-time report for an hour on 92.9 The Game. Half hour post-game on Bally. And you can listen on 92.9 The Game. You can also listen on the Odyssey app. You can also listen on the Atlanta United app. And Sunday, we've got the twos, action at the Fraction, Atlanta and Birmingham. And that's a 3:30 kick. Hope to see some of y'all out in Kennesaw. I think it's probably going to be hot, but
actually, no, it's going to be like 80.
Oh, that's
it's supposed to be like 75 or 80 degrees. It's supposed to be lovely.
Lovely. So come out for a lovely afternoon in Kennesaw and watch the twos. I'm really curious to see what the lineup looks like. Having 2 home games on the weekend, I think, will give the possibility of a more first-team laden lineup. I think it would be a very strong possibility to see some of those guys who need minutes play in this match on Sunday against Birmingham, who's coming in with a result from the midweek, but they did play in the midweek, so I'll be very curious to see what Birmingham Legion has to go with. Johannes is asking, Jarrett, are you going to the Twos game?
I am not. I've been requested at a 1-year-old birthday party, so I would rather go to the Twos game, but...
You mean the birthday party is a year old?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Literally.
So sorry, Johannes. We've lost.
Sorry, Johannes.
He's not coming.
I'll be there Saturday. How about that?
There we go. So as usual, the salty takeaway will be after the game on Saturday. Twos review will be live after we go off the air on ESPN Plus on Sunday. You can listen to both on our app. You can download for free on Android or iOS. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening and watching. We will be back with a normal show on Monday. Overreaction Monday. Actually, Monday is a possibility we don't have a live show because it is Memorial Day. We won't have soccer over there Monday night. That is a definite. That will be pushed back until Tuesday. So we'll have a rare Tuesday night soccer over there. Monday, stay tuned. We'll definitely be back with Tuesday in the morning, and we'll go from there. So y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy the matches, whatever ones you're watching, and we'll be talking to you. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.